thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to show you my Hartley Quinn quilt. And I'm just going to introduce it to you. It's right here. This was the design that I made. I wanted to do something with the ombre effect. And the ombre is just from light to dark, dark to light. And I just thought, you know, if you're a big Friends fan, and Joey spraying on the cologne, he was spraying on ombre, I think it was, or the other guy was, but anyway. So for the month of February, this is going to be the Hartley Quinn quilt, and it's a node to the Hartley Quinn romance novels that I used to read a gazillion years ago. And I was going to open up with me reading one and then dump it in the garbage, but I couldn't even find one. So maybe they're not even around anymore, so I just don't know. So anyway, let's jump in and let's talk about this cute little quilt. And I just want to show you how it turned out, first of all. And then this is going to be a part 1 and a part 2. So part 1, I'm going to show you how to piece it. Then part 2, I'm going to show you some ideas for quilting. I'm just giving you ideas because I want you to take this and put your own spin on it. I'm big on that. I want you to quilt the way you want to quilt. So this is how it turned out. Here's the quilt. And it's got the diamonds around it, which are kind of like the Harlequin diamonds and the Harlequin man. So anyway, this is the Harlequin quilt. So let's jump in and let me show you how I did it and how I designed it. Because as I was working on it, I had to stand back and think about the border and how to piece that and make it easier for you guys. And so when we get to that, I'll explain what I did. So let's jump in and talk about it. So what you're going to do is you're going to first pick your fabrics. And I picked out kind of this pinkish, berryish color. I really liked him. After looking through lots of various reds and things like that, I just felt like this was the group that I wanted to go with. Now, that being said, you could pick whatever you want. If you are not a pink person and you're a red person, or if you're, peach, you could pick, turquoise or blues. I don't care. You could even make it red, white, and blue. That might be kind of fun as well. Just, different grades of the colors. So make it your own. Try to think outside the box. You don't have to copy me on everything I do because I want you to do you. And so after I picked them out, and it was a little bit of a process, I have to say, finding the grades that I wanted and changing from the different colors can be a little bit of a challenge because you just kind of have to look around and see. And buying online is a little difficult as well because you really truly don't know the colors when you're looking at them online. And so when you get them, so go to your local quilt shop. So this is one that I'd have you go and start picking out your colors, because who doesn't like to shop for fabric? I know that's not true for any of us. We love shopping for fabric. So anyway, jump to your local quilt store and give them your business because we want to keep them going forever. So after we've done that, let's talk about cutting the design out. So I first started with my little strips for the heart. So you're going to cut them 2 inches by the width of the fabric. And all the fabrics are folded, most of them, unless it's 45 degrees, are folded on the fold, okay? So this, you have the 2 folds together, is your width of fabric. And I know most of you know it, but I'm just talking to all you new beginners, okay? And so when you're cutting, you're going to open it up, and the fewer the folds, the better. But I'm using a little smaller mat today, so I'm going to make just 1 fold. And then you're just going to put it towards the direction that you can cut. And I am a right-handed person, so I'm just going to put, and then you're just going to line it up, okay? And you don't need a lot of strips because we're only doing 16 blocks. Now you can make it bigger if you want and make more blocks, but then your border, you're going to have to figure out wide to make your border. And when I get to that, I'll show you what I did and show you the steps to figure it out. So if you do want to make it bigger, please make it bigger. So you're just going to line it up and then make your straight cut and then continue cutting your 2-inch strips. Now I've already done it. I don't want to waste any more fabric because I'm really trying to cut down on the fabric waste. So first thing I want to say is that I want you to sew together one block first, okay? This as kind of your practice before you start cutting out everything. You need to do this with every pattern that you get. You never know if the sizing or something's going to be wrong in it. And so this will protect you from cutting out all your blocks first and then start putting them together and find out, oh my gosh, I don't have enough fabric because the pattern was incorrect. And if you haven't seen corrections on patterns and designs, they're out there all over the place. So just make sure that you sew one block together first and then cut out all the rest, because then you'll exactly know your measurements. Okay, I've already done that. I've already made all the mistakes, and these are the measurements, but I want you to start that as a practice because it will lessen the waste of all that expensive fabric that we have. So you're just going to make your straight cut, and then you're going to cut your 2-inch because I want these to be 1.5 inches. I want this heart block to be 9.5 inches by 9.5 inches. And when it's sewn all the way around, it will be a 9-inch block, okay? So that's what you're gonna do, and you're gonna cut out 4 strips for every color. So that will give you 4 groups for your 16 blocks, and what it's gonna give you is you're gonna sew those together in the colors that we have here. So you're going to sew, you're not going to sew the top color because that is the top of our heart. So we're going to do something, so you're going to start with the second color. And that's what you're going to start sewing to the medium, and then you're going to get a little darker. So you're going to sew these 5 together in big long strips, okay? Then you're going to cut this out in 9.5 inch increments. So you're going to have this big long strip, and then you're just going to sew those all together, and then you're going to measure 9.5 inches, and you're going to cut out 4, you're going to cut out 16 of these, okay? Once you've done that, okay, we're ready to do the top of our block. So I want you to work in steps as well. Do one step first so you don't get confused on how to put it together. I can't tell you, it's so frustrating to get going and then all of a sudden you've sewn something up incorrectly and you have to unpick. I hate unpicking, but I do it all the time, and it's because I get in a hurry. So take your time and make it easy on yourself. Okay, so then we're going to cut out for the top part of our block. So on this light pink strip, you're going to cut these out in 2 by 5 inch sections. So you're going to cut out 32 of these because you need 2 for every block. So you're going to cut those out, and then you're going to cut out your white, okay? From the white, you are going to need, and let me get my measurements here. You will need this little block here. It's a 2-inch block, okay? So you'll need 4 of those across the top. So you'll need 4 for each block, 2 by 2 inch squares, okay? And then this down here, you're going to need 32 5 by 5 inch squares for the bottom of the heart, okay? So this is how you're going to sew it together, okay? So you have your section here that you cut out in your 9.5 inches, okay, widths this way. Now we're going to sew, take and sew, and this is where it can get a little confusing. So this is where I want you to stop and do this in sections. So I'm going to lay them out, and I laid out all of these after I had done my one block first, okay? So I laid out one side because one is facing one direction and the other is facing another direction. And it's a little longer because I have my seam allowances right here that they're going to be sewn together. All right, so I'm going to take my 2-inch block here and I'm going to fold it, okay? So as you're folding it, you're making a little crease in it, okay? That little crease is going to be your sewing line. I do this all the time because I hate using the pencil sitting there and marking. And sometimes I will take the pencil, sit in front of the TV and do all my markings. But this just makes it really easy and you don't have to mark up your pretty white fabric, okay? So that's what I'm going to do with that one, and I want 4 of these, okay? And this is where it can get a little confusing because you have this block is going to be sewn inwards. So you want it to be a V shape like this, with it going down to make that nice little V shape for the heart. And then these outer ones are going to be going away from you to make that little hump. So you almost have a different V shape on the side. So that's why I say I lay them all out and then I sew them all up. And if it helps to pin it, I will pin it. I'll pin this little corner right here and this little corner right here to keep it nice and stable as I'm sewing. And then I'm going to just sew down my little fold, and then I'm going to cut off the excess and then fold it away. And that's going to make, see, I did it wrong. That's why you do it in sections and you don't do a whole bunch the wrong way all at once. So yeah, so it's got to go like this, okay? I did this one right, but it's always the left I always do wrong. So when you're sewing it, after you've sewn it and you've cut away the excess, that's what it's going to look like. So be careful as you're sewing. Make sure that you have your block in front of you, your one that you've already done. It's really nice to have it right in front of you so you can look at the directions as you're sewing. It really helps a lot. So that's like, that's why I want you to do one before you start doing all of them, because like I said, there's nothing worse than having to unpick a ton of blocks that you've spent so much time sewing, and you don't want to waste the fabric. So that's what it's going to look like. That's the top. And then you're going to take these after you've sewn those squares on it and you've cut the excess away, okay? That's what you're going to do. You're going to cut this excess away, then you're going to iron it open, okay? Ironing is really important to this. You can see how nice and flat it is. So, and then you're going to sew these two together, keeping your points as straight as possible, and then you're going to sew this piece right across there, and it's going to fit just perfect, okay? And that's partially your heart, okay? That's the top part of the heart. Now, you're going to do the same method for right here for the point of the heart. You're going to take your 32 5 by 5 inch squares, and you're just going to fold them, okay? And you can tell that this one wasn't cut correctly. It's not 5 inches because I have a 1/2 inch. So this folding is really important, okay, for you to make it correct and the right size, okay? So I need to cut off that little 1/4 inch and make it 5 by 5, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to just put it right here on there. And I could tell I did one side, but I forgot to quilt the other side as I was cutting it off. This was cut from a larger square, and I just want to turn it and make sure that it's 5 inches. Okay. It was just a 1/4 inch too big. All right, so you're going to do the same thing. I bet you this one's the same way. Yep, sure is. So I'm just going to cut it to 5 as well. And that's a good indicator. If it's not folding as a complete triangle, then you know your measurements are wrong and you need to look and see what size you did cut it. Or if you did forget to cut one side. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing. And I pinned mine right here. and right here. So it didn't shift and move while I was trying to sew my nice straight line. And I did the same thing. Once I sewed this side, I sewed all of those. Then you're going to iron it open. You're going to cut this away a 1/4 of an inch and iron it open, so it's that one. And then you're going to sew this one to it. Don't sew it before you cut it away and iron it open. Otherwise, it's going to look like this. You're going to sew it, and then you're going to sew this one on top, and it's not going to work out for you because this one's not going to open up. It's going to be underneath it, and you're not going to have it correct. So just make sure that you're doing one side at a time, and it will be good to go. And that's all there is to the hearts. I mean, they're easy peasy and just a lot of fun to make. Now you whip through those really quickly. After you're done with all 16 hearts, make sure that you sew them together. So how I sewed them together, I'll just show you on my piece of paper, okay? So I sewed these 2 rows with the points touching to kind of make a little diamond shape in here, all right? Then I sewed the center section with the tops touching, and then I sewed the ones on the bottom, so it just looks nice and cohesive, okay, as you're sewing. So you have a top and a middle and going all the way around. Okay, so we're done with the center section. So now we get to start on the borders, okay? These borders were a lot of fun, and I'm going to give you 2 methods of quilting these borders, and let me show you what the heart looks like. Pretty cute, pretty fun, and really easy to make. Now, I used a method of just the piecing all the way around, but then I thought, you know, some people might really have a hard time, and it might not be quite as accurate because we all have different seam allowances. What could I do to make this a little easier? And I thought, hey, we could paper piece this, and it's really kind of fun and a way to make your diamonds look nice and even and concentric as a diamond. So that's what I'm going to show you what I did. So I made them. I'm going to give to you in the pattern this design so you don't have to draw out your paper piece, okay? But I'm going to show you what I did in case you want to make the quilt bigger, so that you're going to have to add more diamonds to it, so you're going to have to adjust the sizing. So this is what I did, okay? So I measured my quilt, okay, all the way around on each side. It turned out, after all my blocks were sewn together, it turned out to be about 37 inches, okay, from end to end. That's without the border, just the center section with all those 16 hearts. So after I measured that, and I made sure all my measurements were the same all the way around, I divided that 37 inches by 3, okay? And it comes out to be roughly, really, really close within increments, about 12 3/8, okay? So I took my legal size paper, because my standard paper was not long enough, and I cut this in a section. I measured out 12 3/8 inches. And by the way, I love our mats, and I need to say that's one of my favorite products in the True Cut line. The mats last so long, okay? And I now have to change my mats because I've had my mats forever, and they're just getting old. So there comes a time when the mat has used its life. It's like tires on the car. You know, you wear them, and the wear and tear on the mat and the car tires, you know, just wears out. So I have used mine so much for so many quilts that now I have to swap them out for some new ones. But just know these mats last forever. They're double-sided, so I flipped mine over and I can continue using it. But I think they're some of the best mats ever. So I'm going to measure over 12 3/8, and I'm just going to cut my length, okay? And then I wanted my border to be 5 inches, so I'm just going to measure 5 inches. And then I'm just going to cut. I love our rulers too because they're easy to use. Okay, so there's my 12 3/8, okay? So now I need to make my marking on my paper piecing. And it's very easy. I've got my pencil here. And what you're going to do is you're going to mark all the way around your 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, okay? And you're just going to mark. And then you're just going to do it all the way along, okay? And on each side. These markings are really important for your sewing lines so that you make sure that you have them. I guess these markings are probably not, but they're lines for me to make the diamond. So there we go. And last but not least, now I probably could turn my ruler, but I'm not going to. I'm just turning my paper. All right. Okay, so there's my seam allowance all the way around my block. Okay, now I want to take and I'm going to fold so I have some more marking lines, okay? So I'm going to fold it in half, length and width-wise, okay? So there's my length, and here's my width, and I just want to make sure it's even. All right, and then I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to make little marks right here on each of them, and just going to fold it up to make sure I'm right there. I'm just going to make my little mark here, a little mark here, and I'm going to do the same thing this direction, turning it. And you think it takes a long time. It doesn't. This takes no time whatsoever, and you'll have a very accurate diamond. Okay. So there's my marks. So now I can use my marks to make my diamond. So I'm just going to take my ruler and I'm going to align it. And I'm going to align it just like you would when you're sewing the half square rectangles. And I didn't want any seams in my diamond. So I'm just going to line it up just like that. So you see, I have this point and my ruler is just barely touching it, and on the diagonal, and I'm just making my diagonal line. Okay, so there's one part of the diamond. I'm just going to do the same thing all the way around it. And I'm just making my own paper template. Which really isn't that hard to do. This is how they're done. And then you just sew. And I'm going to show you how to sew it. There we go. Now you could probably draw this on your fabric, but you don't want any of your markings showing. So that's why the paper is just really important. Okay, there's my diamond. Turned out really nice, okay? So now let's talk about the sewing of the diamond. So when you go to sew, you are going to take your fabric that you're going to sew the diamonds out. So with the diamonds, okay, I picked out, oh, I can't remember. It was the lightest one. So I had the lightest color. Then I had this color. Nope, it was this color. This color, and then I had, this color. Here. This one, right here. I was missing one, dang it. Yeah, so these three were my diamonds. So I cut out my 5-inch strips, okay? I just cut them out in 5-inch strips. Then I cut those 5-inch strips into 4 12 3/8 inch rectangles, okay? Then you're going to take that rectangle and you are going to pin it underneath your template, just right underneath this. All right, so you're going to take your 5-inch strips and you're going to measure, and you don't want to use, you want to cut off your selvages. You want to measure over. I want to clear out my area. So we want to go 12 3/8. And I just want to make sure it's nice and straight as I'm cutting. and measure my 3/8 and line up my 3/8, and then you're just going to cut. Okay. All right, so on your template, so what you're going to do, you're going to lay it under, you're going to make sure it's nice and ironed, and you're going to take your pins, like I did here, and you're going to pin it in place. All right, so it's nice and stable on it. Then you're going to take your white fabric, and you're going to cut several white strips, because you're going to need 4 for each block. You're going to cut them 3 1/4 inches wide by 7 1/2 inches long, okay? And you need 4 of them. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to start right here in the corner, and you're going to go in 1/4 inch, lay your white fabric down, and you're going to change your sewing machine to stitch at the very smallest stitch it can, because we want it to perforate the paper, so it will just cut away, okay? So once you've done that, you're going to sew from one end to the other and sew it down, and then you're going to fold it back, and then you're going to go to the next side, and you're going to do the same thing. So see how I lined it up right there? And then I lined it out, and then I just sewed. That's why we're making it longer and wider, so that we can cut this excess away. And I'm going to go all the way around my block. And once I've done that, then I can start cutting it away to my measurements. Okay? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut it away according to this block here. Okay? Once you do that, you're going to go all the way around it and just cut off all this excess. There we go. I'm making sure I'm at my 5 inches. There we go. And last, not least, okay, now we're going to take the pins out. Okay, now we can start folding this over and pulling away our perforated paper. That's all there is to it. It's very easy. And you'll have a little piece right down in here. You're just going to pull it out right here in the center. And sometimes you may need to take a little pin and pull it out, but with this one, if you're doing the small stitch, you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. If you kind of bend it over, start pulling it away. There we go. And you're going to go all the way around and do that, and then you're going to pull out the inside. And then you're going to cut away this excess. You could leave it if you wanted to. I just didn't know if the white would show up as white with the darker fabrics behind it. So you choose what you want to do. If you want to cut away this back color, you can. I did on mine. So you just decide how you want to do it. And then see what you do. Just pull it away. And then you're just going to iron it nice and flat. And there you have your triangle, your rectangle, and your diamond, okay? And then you're going to sew them all 3 together, and you're going to sew your sides first. And then you're going to make sure that as you're sewing them together for the design, that you're placing the right color at the right end, because notice how I just did it all the way around where this point was coming, and you started here. You started here, so it just looked like that ombre look. And then you're going to sew the little 5 1/2 by 5 1/2 inch squares to these 2 ends, and then sew them on. Nothing difficult about it, just a new way to quilt. Now when you download this design, just make sure that you choose the method that you want to. You can piece them, piece the diamonds, or you can paper piece them. I encourage you to try something new. If you haven't tried paper piecing, try it. See if you like it. It will give you a different look and a new respect. It's a few more steps, but it's a fun, different way to quilt. You know, you've seen all these Mariner Compass quilts out there. That's how they quilt those, by paper piecing. So this might be a real easy project for you to try, a new method. And if you've already done paper piecing and you have already figured out, just know that, you know, you don't have to choose that. You can try the piecing method and figure that out. So you do what you want to do, and thank you for joining me. Join me next week when I show you how to quilt it. I've made some fun designs, and I'm really excited to introduce to you some ways to quilt it with the automation, using the automation, and other ways with free motion. And so that's what I like, choices. So I'll see you next time, and make sure that you sign up and subscribe to Tuesdays with Grace. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. With every pattern or design I create, I learned so much. And thank you for joining me and inspiring me. I'm just so excited. So if you want this cute little pattern and you want to try it out, you just need to go to our website at graceframe.com. And let's scroll down and join that. Look for Tuesdays with Grace. So you'll scroll down just a little bit, okay? And you'll find our Tuesdays with Grace. You see that little logo? And I'm sitting on there with the hoop frame with the unfinished pineapple quilt. I did finish that quilt, by the way. It's really a cute little quilt. And so you click on the Tuesdays with Grace, and then you see right up there, and as you're looking at the computer, it'll be the top right hand corner, you'll see register. Make sure you're registered, because we have fabulous prizes and everything to give away. And join our cute little community of Grace Quilters. And then you can find the patterns and designs once you're a registered quilter, and you'll just click on the link and go from there. And that's where you can print it off and download it. I have great people helping me create these instructions, so thank you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I really have learned a lot, and with this little quilt, I had a lot of fun designing the patterns that I'm going to let you add to your automation, or you can just free motion them using rulers or whatever it is. So they're just ideas and designs that will help you as you're quilting if you can't think of ideas on how to quilt it. So I will have those, but that's not ready till next week, because I am working on the process of getting it quilted so I can show you the finished project. I'm very excited about that. Lots to do around here. Let's jump in and talk about the promotions that are going on this month. Great promotions with the 21 and the 21 Pro and the frames and free accessory packs. So the Unique 21 is only $6,999. It's usually $7,000, so it's $1,000 off, and you get a free accessory pack. So that accessory pack includes the ruler base, some rulers, and needles, and the little mini quilt clips. So great accessory pack that you'll love, and the hopping foot set for the rulers. So that's an awesome option. Then if you purchase a combo, and the 21 is $7,999, and it's usually $8,000. So that's just for the machine. So if you're ready to upgrade from your current machine and you already have the Continuum or the Continuum 2 frame, that's what that machine fits on. So make sure that you're doing the upgrade to a 21 inch. That 21 inch makes all the difference in the world when you're quilting. A larger area and getting quilts done a little faster. So you don't have to roll them quite as much and move them around. So anyway, with the combo, it's for the Unique 21. It's just $9,499. Sorry, we have busy bees around here, so if you hear a lot of noise, they're very busy. And it's normally $10,999, and So that's a great combo, great price. And the 21 Pro is $10,499, where it's normally $11,999. That's the machine and the frame. So check out those combos. Great pricing. And then they have the automation on this month for 25% off. So that is a great way to quilt as well. So if you have a hard time with your free motion, the automation is fantastic. I love using all different ways of quilting. So let's jump in and talk about, I mentioned the most loved products. It's like trying to guess which of my kids I love the best or who I like around here. I love everybody and I love my kids all the same. However, there are products that are a little fond and I'm a little fond of, and our True Cut cutting mats is one of them. So I just wanted to highlight that. So I am going to give away today 2 24 by 36 inch mats. And I'm going to have Russ scroll up and find me a winner. But to get your prize, I need you to email me, Karla with a K, K-A-R-L-A, at graceframe.com, and send me your address, because I need to hear from you. And I also need your address to get you your wonderful mat. You will love these mats. They are 3-ply. Let me grab mine right here. They're a 3-ply mat, so you can use one side and then you can reverse it and use the other side. So they're double-sided mat as well. And like I said when I was talking to you earlier, I have such old mats that it's time to replace them. So with your mats, there comes a time when, they're just not cutting like you want them to, because you get cutting lines in the same place. And so it's time to replace them. So every few years, you need to replace your mats. These last a long time. So make sure you do that. So, okay. So our first winner it's Deborah Regno. Okay, Deborah, you have won a 24 by 36 inch mat. So please email me, Karla with a K, K-A-R-L-A, at graceframe.com. And our next winner is Paula Becker. That was a good, easy name for me. Paula, you have won as well. You will love the mats. They will last a long time. So thank you for joining me, and I know you'll love our mats. So email me, Karla with a K, K-A-R-L-A, at graceframe.com. And if you have questions, you need help with something, I'm always here for you. So please, I've been emailing several of you, and I love the insights that you have, and any little question that you have helps me grow as a quilter as well. So helping you figure out what's going on or what the problem is with the automation or why the placement isn't right, I want to hear from you. So I become a better quilter as we grow together. So let me know what's going on out there. Okay, and then we have our True Cut winner of our most loved promos, and what they've won, this person has already been pre-selected because she has registered on the Grace Tuesdays with Grace format, and she has won a True Cut rulers quilters combo. That is a 24 by 36 inch ruler. Not ruler, I'm sorry, a 6.5 by 24.5 inch ruler, ergonomic, My Comfort 45 millimeter cutter, and a set of true grips, okay? She's also won a linear sharpener. The linear sharpener is my mom's invention. She wanted to keep us sharp and cutting for a long time, so that was my mom's invention, and she even has her name on the patent, so it's kind of fun. And then you also get the 12 by 18 cutting mat, which is this size mat here. It's a great size for traveling. And then you get the True Cut ruler combo. So you get several more rulers. So, and the winner is Susan Atkins. So thank you for signing up and registering. And I'm very excited that for you to get these products. So we will contact you because we have your information. So they will be contacting you, and we'll be getting those prizes sent right out. Okay, so if you have any questions, just let me know. And thank you for joining me. And let me just tell you really quick about what's going on the rest of the month, okay? So for the rest of the month, next week, I am going to be quilting, but I'm also going to be at QuiltCon. I'm really excited because I love QuiltCon. We are going to have several on the Road with Grace segments, so please join us for those and make sure that you're looking for them, and then we'll be live. So I don't know who will be standing here next week, but it'll be some fun person, and you'll get to know them a little bit better. And then I'm going to show you how to quilt the quilt using the automation, but also give you tips and tricks for if you don't have the automation, just some ideas for free motion quilting. Then the week after that, we are going to jump in and I'm going to show you the Quilt Perfect Ruler Foot Set. It's an awesome little set of feet that will really help you quilt perfect. And I'm going to show you how to use them and what they do. And they're telling me, oh, Robin Anderson, QuiltCon is in Phoenix, Arizona this year. So we will be in beautiful Phoenix. I know somebody asked if we would be in New Hampshire. I'm not quite sure, but I hope so. If we're not there, usually we have a wonderful dealer there. And so if you're in the Phoenix area, come to QuiltCon and join us because I'm really excited. So I love QuiltCon. I love all the shows. I'm just kind of sad that I don't get to go to the Hampton, Virginia show because they're kind of stacked on top of each other, but that's okay. You know, life goes on, and we'll be in Australia this year, I hope, and then England this year as well. And with every On the Road with Grace, we're going to travel around, show you some of the booths, some of the quilts, so that you guys don't miss out on a thing. Because you're part of the Grace family, and we want you to be a part of everything we do around here. I'm going to let you go and be inspired. And thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I know it's time out of your really busy, hectic lives. So I will see you next week, not in person, but on the video. And just let me know what you're doing, because I love to hear from you. Thanks. Take care, and goodbye.